Carroll Park is the third oldest park in Brooklyn. It is named after Charles Carroll, who was an American revolutionary leader and who also signed the Declaration of Independence. The park is just less than 2 acres and was created in 1867. That's 27 years after originally being laid out as a private garden. The park plays a significant role in the neighborhood surrounding Carroll, Court, President, and Smith Street. Before there were any paved streets, there was an Indian path along what is now known to be Henry Street. Native Americans sold a tract of land near the Carroll Garden area to Dutch farmers in the year 1636. The area around Carroll Gardens was one of the first to undergo extreme development. Carroll Gardens is predominantly an Italian neighborhood, but like everything else, it is always changing. As you continue walking through this park, you can see many leisure activities that people of all walks of life can enjoy. These leisure activities include bocce, basketball courts, baseball fields, baby swings, and even arts and crafts available in the park house during the summer. Drastic improvements to the park were constructed by the New York City Department of Parks and Recreation in 1993. These new improvements included reorganized play spaces and a compass rose sprinkler area. The cast iron gates, fencing, and lighting complements the exterior of the historic brownstone homes, encompassing the vibe of the neighborhood. As a New Yorker, why do you think it was important to have reconstructed this park? Once you reach the center of the park, you can't help but notice the 4-faced, 18-foot-tall pink granite pillar bearing an inscription and a design serving as a monument, also known as a stele. The name of this memorial is Soldiers and Sailors Memorial. On each side of the memorial, there are bronze plaques. 2 sides of those plaques serve as honor rolls. If you look closely, they have lists of names of 187 servicemen from the neighborhood who served during the Great War engraved into them with the words, "Died in service of their country," written above. What do the names on this honor roll tell you about the culture of the men who fought? Another interesting thing about this memorial is that it is smack dead in the middle of a lively, multicultural park. Children color with chalk on the honor roll and people rest on the step of the memorial. What do you think the families of the fallen heroes would think if they witnessed this happening? Do you believe this shows disrespect to those who died in World War I? Or has time changed and people forget the past? This memorial still has a great significance and continues to play an important role to America and its history. On one side of the plaque, there appears to be a soldier mourning the loss of another fellow fallen soldier, while on the other side there is a sailor on the deck of a ship. You may be wondering what importance these 2 men placed on the memorial have, who they are, and what they represent. The men on the memorial are called doughboys. Doughboys were fighting American soldiers. The doughboys represented the perfect man. They were thought of being fit, masculine, and ready for battle. They were one of the more actively charged to be the most popular for World War I memorials, especially in the Brooklyn area. Americans during this time were panicked about America. Being very patriotic, they felt strongly about the messages that these memorials were sharing. Also, Americans during this hard time were scared of the soldiers coming back into American society. We have to remember that these soldiers were fighting overseas, so the people in America were scared of the possibility that they could have contracted and brought back diseases that were foreign to the American people. But no matter grieving or fighting, people had strong feelings of emotion for those who fought with pride for this country. Do you believe that these monuments are still relevant in today's day of age, and will they be important and seen with a respect hundreds of years from now? World War I Memorial in Carroll Gardens is a center for Brooklynites as a meeting place. On the weekends, a Brooklyn Runners Club meets by the World War I Memorial to meet others and run together. Also, on November 11, 2010, there was a ceremony held to thank veterans at this World War I Memorial. The Court Street Merchants Association and the Friends of Carroll Park organized the Veterans Day ceremony. Those who served in the past or the present were honored and thanked for their services. Pastor Rodriguez sang the national anthem and held a prayer for those who were injured in battle. Many people gathered, giving their respects. The memorial had support from the community and for those the memorial is commemorating. A symbol that represents World War I is red poppy flowers. These are important because during the war all vegetation was killed and the land was bare. The poppy seeds were in the ground for many years and eventually these flowers sprouted up everywhere. Therefore, battlefields were covered in these red poppies, which must have been a sight to see for the soldiers. They saw death and despair all around them for years. That is why on Veterans Day people wear the poppy flowers in remembrance of the ones who died in battle. In other parts of Brooklyn, there are World War I memorials, not far from the one you're standing right now. If you walk down by the Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn, at the base of trees along the promenade, there are small plaques in the ground with the names and information about the Brooklynites who died in the war. A tree was planted in each of their honor. An interesting question to think about while walking is if you see any women's names on any of these plaques. These plaques can also be found in Grand Army Plaza and in Borough Hall. There are more than 50 total dating back to the 1920s. Across the country, almost every city and town, they have memorials built to commemorate the men who died while serving. Some are in Kansas, Washington, D.C., Buffalo, Indiana, and even in Australia. But nothing is like Brooklyn. All around this beautiful memorial are fun, exciting things to do. Eateries from all around the world are on every block, boutiques, going to BAM to see performances of all sorts, and clubs. Carroll Gardens is busy with people from all over every day of the week. Do you think the World War I veterans would be happy to have one of many memorials dedicated to them in such a lively neighborhood?